After over 2 decades in the heart of America's spotlight, Hillary Clinton is still sort of an unknown quantity for most Americans. That's thanks to one factor and one factor only: the love and worshipful attention of the mainstream media. Over the weekend, no less than 6 terrible stories broke that would have crippled anyone else's campaign. First, we learned Clinton aide and confidant and super special, absolutely platonic friend Huma Abedin acted as assistant editor on the Radical Journal of Muslim Minority Affairs, where she greenlit pieces that stated that, quote, pushing mothers out into the open labor market is a clear demonstration of a lack of respect of womanhood and motherhood, among other things. Next, we found out that Clinton had blamed former Secretary of State Colin Powell for giving her the idea to set up a private email server at a dinner party, and that Powell not only denied giving her the idea, but also denied ever having had a dinner conversation on the topic. Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, who Clinton also claimed was there for the conversation, she said she wasn't there either. Then we found out the Clinton State Department oversaw about $6 billion in mismanagement, fraud, and incompetence. Then also it was revealed that Clinton's pay-for-play, Clinton Foundation donations in exchange for access to the State Department, ran deeper than originally thought. Also, we learned the FBI and Justice Department are investigating the Podesta Group, co-founded by Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta, over its own ties with former Ukrainian president and Vladimir Putin ally Viktor Yanukovych. Finally, we found out the FBI uncovered about 15,000 emails Clinton said never existed and that she failed to disclose to the State Department. Presumably, these all do not concern yoga and Chelsea Clinton's wedding plans. So, what was the media's response to this tidal wave of incompetence and corruption? Well, they focused on Trump, naturally. That's what they always do. And that's why Trump became the Republican nominee in the first place. See, the media once painted former Governor Mitt Romney the way they paint Trump. They excoriated anyone who dared to ask about President Obama's botched Benghazi policy. They scoffed at Romney's suggestion that Obama's Russian policy had emboldened Moscow. They yelled at legislators like Michelle Bachmann for connecting Huma Abedin to Islamic radicalism via that same Journal of Muslim Minority Affairs. By the time Trump came along, the American people had already rejected the media's capacity for truth-telling. So when the media targeted Trump, and Trump didn't back down, many Republicans resonated to Trump's call. They believed that Trump would hit Clinton with all the material the media had covered up and ignored. So far, of course, that hasn't really panned out. Trump's been pretty distractible, but that doesn't mean he couldn't. If Trump were to target Clinton, he'd be doing the job Americans thought that they nominated him to do, exposing the empress who's protected by the media Praetorian Guard. If he doesn't, Clinton will become president, scandals and all. The media are still the gatekeepers. They still have no intention of allowing Hillary Clinton to become the story when Trump's tweets can be. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. Alrighty, so here we are, lots to get to today here on The Ben Shapiro Show. I want to start with something a little bit different. So instead of talking presidential politics, we'll get to that in just a little while, the Trump flip on immigration. Ann Coulter, right now, maybe we have to take away her belt and her shoelaces because she may be on the verge of suicide. We'll play audio of Ann later explaining that she's about 5 minutes from driving down to the local mobile station and dousing herself in gasoline and lighting a match. We'll talk about why that is. But we're going to start today with transgender identity. So the federal government has decided it is absolutely vital and important that everybody in America believe that men can become women and women can become men. And it's so vital that they're going to force children to engage in this fantasy. And if you as a parent say no, then presumably they will come in and take your kids. That's really where this is going. So the reason this comes up today is because there's this school district in Maryland, and they've released a video that's sort of an informative video directed toward administrators and teachers. And here is the video and them basically pushing the transgender agenda. This doof does it.
No matter what side of this issue one personally falls on, however, what is clear is this. At Anne Arundel County Public Schools, our charge is to fully support every student in their pursuit of reaching their full potential. We owe students who identify as transgender the same levels of support as we do gay students, poor students, rich students, special education students, ELL students, or any other group of students. Simply put, in a school system that aims to elevate all students and eliminate all gaps, all must mean all, no exceptions. What you are about to view is a training session conducted in June that covers the latest guidance and legal opinions regarding this matter. Clearly, this is an evolving issue, and the guidance from the courts or elsewhere may change in the coming months or years. We will do everything we can to convey any such changes to you in a timely manner so that you can best support our students. Meanwhile, please listen carefully to what you are about to hear. A formal set of guidelines will be provided to principals and department heads to distribute as needed. If you have general questions, please contact the Office of Student Services. If you have specific legal questions on a particular case, please contact the Office of Legal Services.
Okay, he goes on in this video to explain that what ought to happen in cases where boys think they are girls and therefore want to go on overnight sleeping trips with girls, what should the school do? So this is serious, really. According to this school district, according to that guy, Chris Christie over there, according to that dude, the idea here is that we now must not tell parents that it's even happening. We can't tell parents that this is even happening. Really, here's the quote from the video. He says, "So, many of you might be asking yourself, so, I'm at an overnight field trip, and I have a student who's biologically male, identifies as female, and we've worked with that student and her family. And that student wants to sleep in the dorms or whatever sleeping arrangements are with the females. They don't want to sleep in a room by themselves. They want to sleep with the rest of the females. So what do we do?" And the answer is they sleep with the females. That's not the easy answer, it's the right answer. And in some cases, it's going to cause issues because the private information piece doesn't allow you to share that with parents of all the other campers. Right? So that's difficult. Okay, so let's just be straight about this. This is not just him saying that they're going to notify the parents that this is their new policy. What he's saying is we won't even tell parents it's happening. We won't even tell parents it's happening. So you have a 12-year-old girl, and she goes on a sleepaway trip for a night to the local aquarium, and there's a 12-year-old boy who thinks he's a girl, and it's okay. Not only is it okay by the school district if he sleeps next to the girls, because obviously he's a girl, because he says he is. Not only is that okay, they're not even going to inform the parents about it, because it's none of the parents' business if there's a boy sleeping next to the girls. Take it a step up. They're 15 years old now, okay? They've now hit puberty, and you've got a boy who says he's a girl, and he wants to sleep in the same tent as the girls. You're not even going to tell the parents about this. So there are two issues here. One is, well, really three. One is the basic biology of the situation. Boys can't become girls. Girls can't become boys. The notion that transgenderism is an objectively real status as far as relabeling someone from male to female is just foolish. I mean, there's no biological basis to the idea that a man who thinks he's a woman is actually a woman. There's no biological basis to that. There isn't. There's biological basis to the idea this person is suffering from a significant and dangerous mental illness. I think probably most along the lines of anorexia. Somebody who just has body dysmorphia, basically. But that's not the same thing as saying that this is now a girl. So the school is, number one, saying, no, this is a girl. That's number one. Number two, they're saying it's nasty and terrible, nasty and awful if the other girls feel uncomfortable. Now, I'm old enough to remember a time when it was considered bad form for a boy to wander into the girls' locker room. Why? Not because he was going to rape them, but because it makes girls feel uncomfortable to be unclad in front of boys. And it was considered an assault on women, an assault on feminism, to suggest that men should be able to walk into women's locker rooms. Right? Title IX was specifically designed with this in mind. Title IX of the Civil Rights Act was designed with this in mind, the idea that there's men and there's women, and women should be treated equally with men with equal dignity, and their privacy should be protected. The federal government is so insane that now they're trying to reinterpret this as gender that you identify as, which of course means nothing, because why have separate locker rooms at all? If the idea is that the girls are so terrible because there's a guy who identifies as a girl coming into their locker room, if they're so terrible, then what's the problem if the guy identifies as a guy? Are you telling me that these people are safer with a guy who identifies as a girl than as a guy who identifies as a guy? Like, where's the scientific evidence to back that one up? That the normal guy is more likely to be a sexual abuser or rapist than the transgender guy. Is there any evidence to support that notion? I mean, I'm waiting for the evidence to support that notion. I'm not making the claim transgender people are outstandingly dangerous. I'm making the claim that other people are not. But the claim seems to be you're less dangerous to women if you're transgender than you would be if you weren't transgender. And I just don't see any evidence to back that up. I'd like to see the rates on that. So that's the second issue, is this crazy notion by the federal government that boys and girls are exactly the same. And then we get to the real issue. And the real issue is the federal government has decided that certain subjective realities can now be imposed on everyone through force of government. Now, the government says that if you believe that there's a God, and therefore you believe that God gave us a Bible, and therefore you believe that it's sinful for you to take part in a same-sex wedding, the government says your subjective reality must be overruled by our version of reality in which the Bible is nonsense and you have to serve the gay couple. Right? That's what the federal government essentially says. They say that your subjective reality as a religious person is irrelevant to our concerns. But when it comes to a transgender person saying they're a girl, then all of a sudden we have to abide by their subjective reality. We can't use any objective measures of reality. What's worse, if you as a parent object to this, they will take away your kids. That's the next step. This is where this is going. And this is really dangerous stuff. This is where it's going. It's a very short step from your kid is in a bedroom with a transgender girl and we're not telling you about it to your kid is having transgender feelings, is having gender dysphoria, is confused about gender, not even transgender feelings, just is confused about his or her gender. You think that that's evidence that the kid needs some psychological help. We think that means the kid should transition. We're coming into the home and we're seizing the kid. We're coming into for the protection of the child. The child cannot be victimized by you and your benighted ideas about biological sex. We have to take the kid away from you. That's where this is going. And the left will deny that that's where this is going, of course, but it's obvious that's where this is going. Every time, by the way, the left denies that their hardcore views lead to something bad, within 5 years it's already led to that thing. But you can see the clear chain here. So they're already doing this with regard to homosexuality. So if you're a religious parent and you have a kid who might be worried that he's gay, might be worried that he's experiencing same-sex attraction, the left has already declared, based on absolute pseudoscience, that sexual orientation is immutable and unchanging. There is no evidence, none, that sexual orientation is immutable and unchanging. It could be biological, partly. Certainly it's not wholly biological. They say it could be partly biological, it could be environmental, it could be social. There are a lot of factors that go into shaping sexual orientation, which is why you'll see people like Anne Heche, married to Ellen DeGeneres, and then she leaves Ellen DeGeneres and marries a dude. Right? You see this all the time. You see guys who are straight for their entire lives and suddenly they're gay. It could work the other way too, except the left doesn't wish to acknowledge that there is variability and mutability to sexual orientation. So they create this fiction whereby your biological sex is irrelevant, your gender identity is inborn, you're a boy born in a girl's body, which is nonsense, and your sexual orientation is inborn. You're born gay, you're born straight, you're born this, you're born that. Okay, you're born with certain inclinations, but those inclinations are impacted by environment and society and treatment and all the rest of it, just like every other human behavior. Sex is no exception. So the fact that what they did, so here's the deal. What they did with the religious parent who has a kid who's worried that he might have sexual attraction to somebody of the same sex, religious parents used to say, okay, let's go to the psychiatrist and let's talk about whether this is real, how severe it is, whether this is just normal kind of gender and sexual confusion that happens with a lot of kids. I mean, really, this happens with a lot of kids. There are a lot of kids. If you've ever had a teenage brother or sister, if you've ever been a teenager yourself, the chances are very high that you were sexually confused at one point or another. You can see it in Britain, right? I mean, in Britain, there are new polls out that show that only about 40% of British young people consider themselves completely straight, right? That's as opposed to people above the age of 60, 90% of them consider themselves completely straight. That's because how people view their own sexual orientation changes over time. Their attractions may change over time. The left has decided it's entirely biological. The next step has been, okay, if you have a kid, you're a religious person, and your kid has sexual attraction to another kid of the same sex, and you say, okay, well, let's treat that. Let's talk about whether that's a good thing. Let's see if you're actually gay or if you're straight, if there's a way to alter your sexual behavior and your sexual attraction. That's now illegal in the state of California. It's illegal in the state of California. So if you have a gay kid and the gay kid wants to become straight, that's legal in the state of California. If you have a straight kid or if you have a gay kid and the gay kid wants to become straight, that's illegal in the state of California for you to take that kid to a psychiatrist or to a psychologist because that's harmful to the child. You can see that's going to be the next step here. The next step is going to be you have a kid, your kid's 3 years old, your kid decides one day they want to dress up as a boy, it's a girl, and they decide they want to dress up as a boy, and you say, honey, cut it out. And then the kid goes to school and tells the teacher, I was at home and I wanted to dress up as a boy and mommy told me I couldn't. And next thing you know, the teacher is calling Child Protective Services saying that you're damaging the psyche of the child, because obviously if the kid, the 3-year-old, says that she is a he, then she must be right. She is absolutely a he. You can see where this is going, because the left has to impose its own version of reality on everybody else. And the reason the left has to impose its own version of reality on everybody else is because of the utopia of the left. What the left truly seeks is a fully androgenized society in which male and female have nothing, there's no separation. They're trying to create an excuse for bigger government, in essence, because the truth is we all have various differences: male, female, tall, short, strong, weak. We all have various differences that we're born with, and those differences contribute to our outcomes in life. The left doesn't like that. So what the left wants to do is just pretend that there are no differences, that in the end all differences can be wiped away if we just change society around us. So men can become women, women can become men, gay people can't become straight, but straight society should just assume that all kids who have any sort of sexual attraction at any point to another kid of the same sex, those people are immutably gay. And all of this is designed to lead to familial confusion, larger government control, and an attempt to break down the family structure so that when we are all genderless, androgynous widgets who are fully mutable in terms of our sex, then the government can step in and make everybody equal. So the government is going to make sure the government uses the excuse of bullying in order to cram down its own version of reality. And they cram down their own version of reality in order to assert their power over you and your ability to parent and your ability to take care of your own kid. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little while, but you have to go to Daily Wire for the rest of that to subscribe to the rest of the show. Lots more coming up. We have an epic episode of Good Trump, Bad Trump coming up. We also have an amazing song from the alt-right that I cannot wait to play for you. It involves some of the best saxophoning you will ever hear. So we'll get to that shortly. Go to Daily Wire to be a subscriber. $8 a month buys you access to Daily Wire. Plus, you get to be part of the mailbag, which we do tomorrow. So if you want to have your questions answered by yours truly and your life made better, then go to dailywire.com, pay that $8 a month. And this brings to an end our Facebook and our YouTube, but you can listen on iTunes or SoundCloud, where we are, in fact, the #1 conservative podcast in America. And thank you so much for being a part of it. But there's more to come, so stick around.